So I've got this idea. Speak on 100 podcasts in 1 year, and you will never have to worry about money again. Actually, let's refine that. Guest speak on 100 podcasts in 1 year, and you will never have to worry about money again. That's what this episode is going to be all about.
You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Misha Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy.
All right, everybody, let's guest speak on 100 podcasts in 1 year, and we'll never have to worry about money again. I'm so excited about guest speaking and my theories on guest speaking. And, I'm put together my program to go guest speak on as many podcasts as I can. Actually, it's 50 podcasts in 100 days, and I'm just about to launch that. I've done a soft launch where I announced to my audience, hey, I'm getting ready to do this. And I've missed the start date already a couple times, but nonetheless, I've already spoken on 2 shows and have 3 more booked, and I haven't even officially launched my, what did I call it? My guest speaker challenge. So how exciting is that? But here's how this all came about. I started in Russell Brunson's 2CCX 2 years and 7 months ago. And it's a coaching program. It costs $2,500 a month. And so you can calculate how much I've spent on 2 years and 7 months. You do get a discount if you pay annually. Just know that. But it's been awesome. It's all about building an online business and all these things. And it's been a crash course for me in online marketing. And if you are new to me and my story, sorry, I'm not going to edit that stumbling and mumbling out, by the way, so hang in there with me. If you're new to my story, or if you know my story, here's a reminder. I was old school telemarketer, so I would build lead lists, telemarket to them to generate business, and I was very good at it. And then I started building teams and little teams for myself, and I did it mostly in mortgages. First, I did it in the financial services industry. It's where I cut my teeth as a retail commodities broker. Did that for a few years, really laid the foundation. Then I did door-to-door sales in tech, business to business. I lived in San Francisco Bay Area, and I, for a few years, would literally walk into .coms and ask them, I can't even remember what I'd ask them, but what were their tech needs in effect. But I was selling server space, data co-location, and T1 lines and DS3s and things like that, which are the big data lines. And I ended up in mortgages, and that's really where it all fell together. And so I'd send out flyer campaigns and get the phones to ring and do telemarketing campaigns. And what I'd do is I'd build a list. I'd go get the associated phone numbers of that list, and usually it was like a 30% return of phone numbers or something like that. These days they call it skip tracing, where they get the phone numbers. I'm gonna hit pause for a second. I'm walking by loud skateboarders with that punk music playing. So I would get the phone numbers, and then I would send out mass flyers to the full list. So let's say I got 10,000 addresses. I'd send out 10,000 flyers and I would start telemarketing to the 3,000 of them that I had the phone numbers. And so the flyer campaign would get the phone to ring with inbound calls, and I'd be able to, sync up the phone number with the address, so I knew all the cool information about the house. Anyway, old school was not really using any of the online tech, right? Thanks for making it this far. I ended up telling you my story, that part of it, but anyway, let me get to the point. The point is, I jump into Russell Brunson's 2CCX, and it's time to learn the new school, right? And perhaps mix it with the old school. And so one of the things that Russell Brunson says is publish every day for a year, and you'll never have to worry about making money again. Again, publish every day for a year, and you'll never have to worry about making money again. But he's very specific about where you're publishing, or at least he was at the time. So he is like, start a YouTube channel, start a podcast, or start a blog, publish every day for a year, and everything will magically fall into place for you. And at the time, so this is 2.5 years ago, I had been wanting to start a podcast, and I had been bulking on starting a podcast for a number of years. Been bulking at doing a few things for a number of years, and Russell's encouragement was just the inspiration I needed to start my podcast. So I start my podcast, and I am, let's see, it took me a couple of weeks, took me about a month to really start getting momentum, right? It was hard publishing every few days, let alone every day. And at somewhere a month or two into it, I had a breakthrough, and it was just start riffing. Like, you've got no audience to offend, you've got no people who are listening to lose anyway, so get after it. And my podcast was a different name back then. Go back to perhaps, when did I switch over? I don't know, episode before 350, and you can hear the old intro and the name of the podcast and everything. Boy, I wish the old artwork was there for it. I should go back and put that artwork up somehow. I don't know if I can do it. It'd have to be on a per episode basis, which would be a nightmare. But who knows? Maybe I'll hire a VA to do that at some point. And so I had the breakthrough I was like, yes, I can riff. I can talk about what I'm doing, what I'm learning, what I'm gonna do, what I've learned, my frustrations as I'm trying to, grow an online business, as I'm trying to be spiritual and do all these things, and started interviewing a ton of people. So I was doing an interview every week. So I must have a good 50, 60, 70 interviews on the podcast. And I was like, I can't wait to never have to worry about money again. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to that year mark when I've published every day for 365 days in a row, and money's going to be falling out of the sky. I don't know what I thought. I'm going to be famous. I'm going to have all these amazing partnerships. I'll have spoken on all the best podcasts. And I realized a few months in, oh no, this is going to be a lot more of a slog than you think. And the good news is for me is it was a passion project as well, and I was really into it, and I still love it. I love podcasting. But it became very clear that, oh boy, however I thought the magic money spigot was going to be opened, that was not happening for me. May have happened for others. God bless you if it did. But let's see, where do we want to go from here? There was lots of testing and trying, different ideas, what I was going to offer to the market as far as service and charge for was changing, still kind of in flux, but I've definitely narrowed it down now to, my goal is to, at least as of today, help people tell their stories to the market. Like, let's get your story out to the market. And so that's by speaking on other people's podcasts, speaking on other people's shows, partnering with influencers, all this stuff. There's all the ways to go. Basically just going on tour with all this stuff. And another bit of that is getting your customer stories. So you want to have your customer stories in line. So I do testimonial stuff, testimonial work. I also am good at interviewing people. And so there's going to be some form of all of this amalgamation of things, which is kind of like saying a blend together of these things. But anyway, I was rapidly getting to a year, and it was like, this magic money spigot is definitely not opening. Interestingly, though, benefit was that I was and am known for my podcast, and just being a relentless podcaster. And so I have some notoriety for being a podcaster, and I have an audience of people that love that I'm a podcaster, and it's not even so much, sometimes it feels like, about the podcast itself, but it's just about my consistency, my go-forward attitude, my willingness to put my voice out there on my podcast, which is awesome. And it's absolutely helped me create influence. And I have a good friend, good friends, it's a couple, and they like to tell me, like, the influence I have is beyond my recognition. They're like, everybody knows you, they said. In our circles, everybody knows you. The big players know you, like you, respect you, as well as the small players. Like, everybody knows you, and you can move the needle, and people respect and appreciate what you have to say, and things like that. And that's so empowering to hear. So that's been an awesome side effect. But again, the publishing every day for a year, I was still, I don't know if worried about money is the right thing. But I was like, hey, whatever magical money tree is going to be opened or spigot by me by me publishing on my podcast every day for a year, didn't happen. And I think I published 450 episodes every day in a row. Something crazy. Some days I'd publish multiple episodes, and I'm not complaining. I love it. I love it still again now to be back on track and refound my voice. I sort of needed a break and to refine my voice and my vision. And so obviously I'm back at it because here I am, and you're listening, right? So let's cut to the chase. So part of what Russell was saying too in his teachings were, okay, great. Now that you've started your podcast, or you've started your blog, or you've started your YouTube channel, the next step is start cross-promoting with other people in your channel, right? So if you've picked a podcast, go start speaking on other people's podcasts. So I'm not sure if cross-promoting is the right word. That is a way to go, where you're like, hey, let's put a promo for your podcast on mine, and I'll put a promo for my podcast on yours. More of what I'm talking about is he's like, go start speaking on other people's shows. Guesting is what we would call that these days. Go start guesting on other people's shows. And that's always been sort of lurking in the background for me. And I was like, you know what? It's probably a key part of this whole not having to worry about money again. Not having to worry about money for a year theme. And I had a couple things come together. One was I had some success speaking on a show. This was the catalyst. Someone said, hey, come speak to my audience. Come talk about getting testimonials. It was to audience of realtors. They need to hear what you have to say about getting customer video testimonials. They need to hear about your perfect video testimonial system, your 5-step system for gladly getting your customers to do your selling for you. They need to hear how they can repurpose that content, into posts, stories, reels, TikToks, all this stuff. And my audience would love it. And you'd be awesome. So I go speak on a show and I crush it. I'm like, oh my gosh. That was one of the things. Coincidentally, at almost the exact same time, I woke up to somebody saying, your testimonial work, your videography work has moved the needle for me in my business. I have to have you at my next event interviewing my customers. It's like generated $70,000 in revenue for me, real revenue. What you do actually moves the needle for me and my business. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get on a guest speaking tour, a guesting tour, if you want to call it. I need to go on a guest speaking tour. And here we are today. And as I was walking, it just hit me. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you that you don't have to have a podcast, or you don't have to have a YouTube channel, or you don't have to have a blog, or be publishing anywhere like that to go on tour. And that was a major epiphany that I had as when the awareness came of, I've got a story to tell. I've got a customer validation of it. Like, the fact that I had a podcast is irrelevant. Now, I've learned a ton from it. It's helped me speak on the mic, all kinds of things. Like, I'm very natural on the mic now. So many benefits. What else could I say? You can drop me anywhere in front of a mic and I can riff. You can put me on a mic with somebody anywhere, with somebody else to interview or be interviewed. Let's get after it. I can speak to an audience live or being recorded in front of a microphone. And so as I was walking and reflecting today, because I walk a lot, I was like, oh my gosh, the real message is, the real story, the real thing that Russell should be probably saying, that I'm going to say, or I'm going to put into my thing, because I believe this is true. And I will let you know, because I am going on podcast tour. I'm going on a guesting tour, on a guest speaking tour. My thesis, as I knock out 100 of these shows where I guest speak on 100 shows in 1 year, I will never have to worry about money again. Ooh, and I'm excited. And how about that thought? How about that thought, people? And it's not dependent on you having your own show. It's not dependent on me having my own show. Now, you could obviously talk about your tour on any channel that you happen to have or not have, whether it's Facebook group, TikTok, Instagram. You know how much content you'll generate? Oh my gosh. But anyhow, that's what I'm going to do. I'm excited to bring people on the journey with me, to help people do the same. And I think this is a good place to end. But that's my thesis right there. Speak on 100 podcasts in 1 year, and you will never have to worry about money again. What do you think? Let me know if you're on board. Let me know if you want me to help you do that. That's it. Go guest somewhere.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.